Just finished watching the Earnhardt documentary series on Amazon Prime today. I watched the first episode Thursday night, watched 2 and 3 last night, and then watched the final episode this afternoon. Very great series, very well done. I haven't seen... There are two other series they've done on Dale in the past, and I don't believe I've seen either of them, so I might have to go watch those and see how they compare. But this one was really, really well done. His whole thing with Neil Bonnet was really sad and tragic. But what I learned was I didn't realize it, but so Neil Bonnet passed away in a practice crash for the 500 in 94, and where he struck the wall was actually very close to where Dale's car hit the wall in 2001. So they both passed away at the same track around the same area, and they were best friends to each other on and off the racetrack. So I thought that was really, really an interesting coincidence of fate that both of those great drivers passed away in the same spot. So finish that, but we're here for episode 11 of Who's That Driver? I'm your host, Zach Rogers, and I'm just going to say it right now. Listener warning is advised because this motherfucker's been begging to come on for weeks, and he finally on. Give it up for the homie, Robert Kubat. What's up, bitch?
What's going on? Just living life, taking it day by day.
Taking it day by day. We're at Nashville this weekend. Real World and Sim World. I don't like that they have the cup race at 7 p.m. tomorrow.
I'm a huge fan of Nashville, personally. That's just me. It's a bit of a weird track. I don't know. It's just never really could grasp how to run it correctly, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
You know what's funny is the first time I ever ran Nashville was back in like early 2016, and I had never driven it before, but the version we were running, I think it was the FSC version, had a lot of fall off early in the run, and the race ended up being a total shit show. But I learned really early that just pit for 4 tires every time and you'll have all the grip in the world, because even if you stayed out on 2-3 lap old tires, it was like you were down 0.3 of a second. So
that makes sense.
Like, I just pit every caution. The race was a total dumpster fire. I just pit every caution. I was able to win. That was like one of my first 10 wins on an NR 2003 was at Nashville Super Speedway. So kind of crazy. And then I don't think I ran it again. Yeah, I don't think I ran it again at a league for like forever until like recently when Fast and Fuel have been running it. So I don't think I didn't ran it for like 5 years. But it's a track pretty well up my wheelhouse. I've got a couple wins at it now. I won at it. I got 2 wins at it in Fuel and open setup. And then I won the Fast race 2 years ago. Last year's Fast race, I was watching the end of the NASCAR race. So I didn't practice, didn't qualify, didn't run the 5-minute happy hour. And then I didn't get on track for the race until like lap 6 or 7. Because that's how long the stupid NASCAR race took to finish. Because they had 5 overtimes. It don't matter if they have 5 overtimes or not this year. There's no way they're getting done by 9 p.m. So I'll be racing and practicing fast no matter what. The cool thing about the races being on Prime is you can start watching it, and then like if you click off and go to do something else, when you go back, you have the option to continue right where you were. Like you don't have to, kind of like a TV recording in a way. Like you're right back where you were. So I'll probably have it on my other monitor, and then I'll get to probably like 20-30 minutes left in practice, and I'll turn it off, and then I'll finish it after. But yeah, I don't have to worry about sitting through 5 overtimes. But so last year I started the race 5-6 laps down. The race at Fast last year was a dumpster fire very early, so I got all my laps back relatively quick, and then I was able to fight I was racing mainly against Josh Moyers and Alex Moe, I believe it was, and I was able to finish second. I would have been gloating for days if I had won that race. I would have been like, "Who needs practice? Not me. I can get in 6 laps down and still win this shit." But yeah, I think I'll have a good fight tomorrow with Josh and whoever else shows up. Assuming Josh will be there. Who knows? He lives in the area. He might be going to the race. But let's talk about you, Robert. Let's talk about what got you into motorsports and NASCAR and all that fun shit.
Well, as a child, I always raced dirt bikes, did all that. And I guess at one point that kind of just translated over to, oval racing, and I never really took to dirt racing behind a wheel, which is funny coming from dirt bikes. But yeah, I was 4 years old and I got my first dirt bike and was racing probably 2 weeks after I had it in little JR junior races and stuff like that. Was a lot of fun as a kid. My mother was always extremely worried. I had many injuries over the years, and I guess that's what also brought me off of the dirt bikes. Then I got married and hadn't touched a dirt bike in a very long time. So sim racing fills that void, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. So when did you get into NASCAR?
I mean, my dad has watched NASCAR his whole life. So when I was a kid, at the same time that I was saying I got that dirt bike and everything, I was 4 years old, also going to the All-Star race in Charlotte every single year. So I would bring a case of diecast with me to Charlotte because I didn't give a fuck about the race going on. So I'd bring a case of diecast with me and just sit there and play on the grandstands while the cars were going around because I wasn't invested in the actual cars. But yeah, I probably went to shit, I don't even know. 10 to 15 all-star races easily.
Wow.
Got to watch Tony climb the fence in front of me. Yeah, we had season tickets. Our seats were right behind the flag stand. It was awesome.
Oh yeah, that sounds great. Yeah. Who was your favorite driver back then? Did you have one?
Matt Kenseth. Yeah, growing
Kenseth.
up, it was always Matt Kenseth. Always was. Just I don't know. Always was. Newman was a close second. That's because my dad loved Newman. As you guys hear, I tell you about all the Newman memorabilia that we have. We got his old tires and a bunch of signatures from Newman and shit. But yeah, Kenseth was my driver.
All right, on. Who's your driver now?
Ross Chastain.
Ross, yeah. Hail Melon, brother.
Yeah, Tyler Reddick is a close second nowadays.
But, okay. You know what's funny is there was a stat that has been circulating this week comparing Trackhouse to 2311 because they've been in Cup now. They got in Cup at the same time, so they've been in Cup like the same amount of time, and it's kind of crazy how like how much of a mirror their tenure has been.
Yeah, they're pretty identical. I don't know who posted it, but I seen that. Yeah, the stats are like identical between the two teams. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think Trackhouse has one more Cup win now after last week.
Yeah,
but like,
nine wins versus 8 wins. Yeah, I think you're right with that.
The only like major difference is that Trackhouse has been Ross and Suarez as their two main cars the whole time, and because of Kurt's injury 3 years ago, 2311 has had a couple more drivers, so they've had a lot more drivers coming through, especially with their one-off car. Like they had Pastrana run the 500 one year in the 67. Then you had Corey Himes done races. They had Juan Pablo Montoya, and Juan Pablo Montoya did a race last year in the 50 car because they were doing the whole mobile 150 years thing. So they've had a lot more special one-offs, but Trackhouse has done that too. They had Kimi Räikkönen run the Glen one year, which was cool, and then of course you've got SVG, who's run races for them and is now in Cup, of course, full time. So they haven't had as many guys race their Cup cars, but still a similar tenure, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, and I love Bubba, man, and he's really coming into his own this year. It's great to see. He's been finishing great. He's up there in the points this year. It's a lot of fun to watch Bubba out there. I'm a big Bubba fan, even though he's not like my favorite driver, but
yeah, right on. Well, you and I both like Ross, and we also both hate the shit out of Joey Logano. Joey Logano can take a hike. Sorry, my friends that are Logano fans, but I tried to let myself come around on Joey because Brad started to grow on me. after he had his whole thing with Gordon. I didn't like Brad for a few years, but Brad has grown on me the last few years. And Joey, I tried to give a chance, and then he just does something. He just always does something, and it's like, yep, fuck this guy. I don't
Talked
care.
about it. Talked about it a lot. There's three dudes on the track every weekend who I don't like, but there's two dudes off the track who I don't like, and there's only one excluded from those three dudes, and that's Denny Hamlin because he's the only likable person off the track. Chase and Joey are very unlikable people off the track and on the track.
Yeah, Chase
I
can
think
be
that's where it's hard.
very Chase. I'm like, I don't like him. I don't know if I really hate him. Maybe like a mild dislike. He's just very robot-y. Like
He has no
anytime.
passion for the sport. That's my problem.
Yeah, we've talked about that. Yeah, he said there was an interview, and that can be interpreted in different ways, but in his interview someone asked him, like, if your father wasn't Bill Elliott, what would you be doing? And he said not this. And that could mean, yeah, like, I don't really care about it, like, I wouldn't be a race car driver. Or it could also mean, well, like, if your father's not a race car driver and he wasn't a cup champion, would you be running cup for Hendrick? Like, probably not. Like, I don't, like, Bowman got lucky that, like, he, was driving for Junior at the right time, to where Junior had to get out of the car, and Junior liked Bowman, so Bowman's now been at Hendrick ever since Junior left. But otherwise, like, it's only a 4-car team. Like, you very small odds to get lucky enough to drive for Hendrick or Gibbs or Penske. So, but, like, as you said, like, it seems at times that, like, he just does not care that he's the most popular driver and all that shit.
Popular driver, and he doesn't care. Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, it's. I think it's what me and you were saying right here. It's definitely it's not that felt with Chase, but if you watch the All-Star race and watch the driver introductions, everybody had their boos and their cheers and stuff like that. Some guys more than others. But when Joey came up and they introduced Joey, I swear to God, I didn't hear a single cheer in that crowd.
He's very Kyle Busch-esque now, like, except he
Yeah,
drives
he
for
really
Ford.
is.
I, I think if he drove for Toyota still, they would hate him, like, even more. They would
Yeah,
probably hate
probably.
him. They would probably hate him more than they hated Kyle Busch when Kyle Busch was at Gibbs. If Joey was still
Wouldn't doubt it.
driving for them, yeah. I mean, God, like, I will give him this. So he did admit that when he looked back at the All Star race there with Bell, he was like, "Oh, it wasn't as bad as I thought." Like, I take back what I said about, like, I dump him. Like, well, yeah, buddy. Like, you bump and ran Byron at Darlington and stuffed him in the fence and got out of the car like, yeah, we deserve to win that race. And, like, I was like, what the hell is this guy talking about? He put the guy in the wall. Like, how are you gonna say that? But let's talk about NR 2003. So how'd you get into it?
So, my mother bought me a HP all-in-one computer. Probably back in what year? It had to be 2012, 2013, one of those 2 years
That
around there.
sounds about right. My father had one of those.
And yeah, so she bought me that. We went to Rent-A-Center, and because at the time it's basically all we could do. So I went in there as a young man that I was, and I told the guy, I was like, all I want to play is NR 2003. And he was like, what the fuck is that? It's still 2012, 2013. It's a 10-year-old game at that time. So told him what it was and everything about it. And he's like, "Oh yeah, this should be fine. That's an old game. You should have no problem with it." So he wasn't wrong. I got that computer home. I forget how I came about my wheel, but my first wheel was an all yellow Logitech Wingman Wing Force. There was no direct drive. Well, yeah, of course, but there was no force feedback to it whatsoever. It was all uh, I don't even know what the hell you could call it. It was like pretty much just a spring in it, I guess is what you could say, to fake a force feedback in it. Like it would spring back to center and stuff like that. Only had like 270 degrees of rotation or something, so it was perfect for NR. But yeah, I went online, just decided to start looking for some leagues and found a little league called Blazin Pedals and joined into Blazin Pedals. Was probably one of the biggest terrorists that Blazin Pedals has ever seen in the entirety of their league. Met quite a few people who I still talk to this day from that league. A couple very good friends. A couple people who I have issues with all the time, but still very good friends. I've known them for, like I said, since 2012, 2013 now. But yeah, it's kind of funny because, like you said, that we cross-referenced so many times throughout history, but we didn't really meet each other till now. And that
Yep.
always baffles me how like we were so mixed in the community with each other, but we never ever talked to each other.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of people like that. Like there were, I think I raced at Blazin Pedals once, like maybe once or twice. I think I like signed up and like got to run. I want to say I ran a Daytona race with them. Um, and like that was it. Like I just happened to be free one night back in like I think 2016, 2017, and I was like, man, I want to race. And we had the Sim Racing Association team speak at the time, and
2016, 2017. Yeah, I probably was in the
yeah,
middle of a bridge burn at that time. So
yeah. But so I remember, I think it was like a Thursday night or Friday night, and I was like, man, no one's racing tonight. Like, where can I race? And I think I talked to Derek Justice a little bit, and I was like, "Can I run? You think I can get in and run Blazing Pedals?" I don't remember how the conversation went, but I want to say I definitely ran like a Daytona race with them. If not, it was at another league, and a bunch of them were there, like Izarary, or however you say his name.
Sorry, yeah,
Yeah,
Lewis is cool as shit. Yeah, wow,
yeah.
that's a name I haven't heard in
He
forever.
he was there, and Jason was racing, and Derek was racing,
Yeah,
and all those guys. Um, a couple guys that they would always run at TDR on Saturday too. I can't remember a couple of their names now. It kind of baffled, but they were all like like in their 30s, 40s kind of guys. But I don't see any of those guys around anymore. Kind of crazy, but
Derek did the Coke series, but yeah, he never really amounted to anything in it.
yeah,
But
Derek, I think he would always do great in the Pro Series, which ran the Xfinity car. He'd always, I think he won like one or two races over the years that he had to run Pro. Um, maybe it was just one. I don't remember exactly. I'd have to go dig. Um, but he could not figure out the next gen car, and there were a couple times where from an outside viewpoint, it looks like he just like struggled and he couldn't do it. But the first year, I remember I would talk to him a lot because I would watch him on Twitch, and the first year there was something where the setup team they had quit mid-season, so then they had no setups the rest of the year. So then it was just prepare to run pro again. So he bounced back in pro, no problem. He was like top 10 in points. Then the second year, there was an issue where him and Malik Ray, there was a team missing, and him and Malik Ray were the two that didn't get picked to drive for a team. So then they were independent for a little bit. Malik got picked up by somebody, but I don't know if Derek ever got picked up or not. But then so Derek had another bad year. Bounced back in pro again, and then the landscape was starting to change. So his third year was in 2023, and he had told me that they had a good group and whatever, but it just really feels like he just struggled with the next gen car. Now I believe the only thing he does related to Coke is I think he spots for Daniel Falkingham. I think is the driver. Um, but he has not streamed iRacing on Twitch since that 2023 Coke season ended. The only thing I ever see him stream on Twitch now is his bowling nights. So I remember, I think I reached out early last year and I asked him if he was doing iRacing anymore, and he just he didn't answer me. So I'm kind of curious, but it's also not, I can kind of maybe assume that probably burnout.
yeah,
You
most
know,
most likely.
Derek
Yeah.
Derek, was raced all the time on NR when he was on NR, and he was very good at it. Wasn't maybe like the best, like hardest guy to beat, but he was still like a contender anytime he showed up. And then when he went to iRacing, he was just as good, like solid 6K or so I rating. Obviously got into Coke, ran all those years in Pro 2 to bounce back to stay in Coke. And, maybe just hit a point where he was like, I'm just kind of burnt out and tired of bouncing back and forth. And I think now they don't even really, the landscape for Pro changed because this past year, they did something weird where it was like, oh, if you're top 30 in Pro, you're eligible for a draft. And then they did a draft, but then like 10 guys didn't get picked. So then it's like, well, and then like Road to Pro is done. So then it's like, well, what the hell do these 10 guys do? Like, I haven't really looked into it, but I heard there was like this whole weird thing that happened. I'm not too like read up on, but there was something to do with moon car drivers being snuffed. And I was just like, I read like a Twitter chain about it, and I was like, wow, this is crazy. If this is true, like, freaking being snuffed because you race at moon car, like, damn.
That sounds like they didn't like that other people are getting attention than the Coke series. That's pretty crazy. Because
But
Mooncar's not like a sanctioned iRacing event, but a lot of
yeah, but
pros like to
Junior
race
ran
it.
it.
Yeah,
Junior
that's
ran
that.
that
They
race.
probably are like, let's not have that many people run the Mooncar series.
Yeah, I mean, but it
Yeah,
just stinks.
that's
Like,
crazy.
I think the biggest guy I saw that got snuffed out of it was Michael Frisch, and he was like top 5 in freaking Pro. Like, he was a
Yeah,
top
that's
5, top
crazy.
10 points driver in the Pro series, and he got snuffed because he runs at Mooncar or something. I mean, I doubt any of those guys watch this podcast, but if any of them do, just correct me if I'm wrong. That was just like what I remember looking at Twitter a few months ago. So, but let's get back into NR. So, what did your first race at Blazin Pedals look like? Do you remember car number, the mod, the track? What
See, that's what
happened?
I was trying to remember when you said earlier about like with one of your first 10 wins was Nashville. That's I was trying to relay back to all that. So I know I definitely didn't even probably finish in the top 15 in any Blazing Pedals race. If even finishing races, like that was a task for me at the time. I was 14, maybe 15 years old running those races. Had never did any sort of sim racing up until that point. So like I said, I was a fucking missile on the track. I was wrecking a lot of dudes, getting yelled at constantly, parking it after 10, 15 laps, shit like that. It wasn't until I found the beautiful people known as Joe Archer and Rochelle Archer, and that was about 2016 when I found out about Bluestreak and became an admin there. And that was the league where I had won my first races and stuff like that. They had created super speedways. It was actually called Blue Streak Super Speedway. That was my first race win. I won't forget that because it was fucking crazy the race win. But um, I think I ended up winning a couple different races at Blue Streak. But man, those guys, they told the entire league, they were like, yeah, if everybody just pulls together some money, whoever wins the championship at the end of the season is gonna get this big prize pool. If everybody just sends $20 our way, we'll have like $150 to give them at the end of the year. I think it was even more than that or something like that, but they never gave it to anybody. And when they were questioned about it, they were like, oh, we needed to pay some bills, sorry, and never paid anybody back. And that
Crazy.
was the last stain on my time in the community for a really long time. I ended up meeting Gabby when I was 18, so I wasn't racing at that time, and met Gabby at 18, had my two beautiful girls and everything, and for the past 7 years, just been living life with her. And Greg and Ryan had messaged me, what's it, probably 2-3 years ago now, and they messaged me and they were like, we're starting back up ISRL. You want to get into it, because I back when I was talking about Blue Streak, I dabbled when Greg wanted to get out of Blazing Pedals and do ISRL, and I ran a few races here and there with them, but they ended up asking me, like, you want to come back and give it another try, and I was like, shit, yeah, and I kind of fell in love with it this time around, whereas I didn't fully fall in love with it the first time around. I was much more of a dumb kid just being stupid on track, where this time around I have a better wheel now, able to actually do some shit. I mean, I have probably more than 25 wins, and I don't even know because I don't keep track of it. Like, there's so many people online who are like, oh, how many wins do you have? How many top fives do you have? This, like, I don't care. I run so much. I don't count my wins anymore. I don't count any of that shit.
Okay, so before we get into more recent events, let's just go back to the first win. Can you tell me how you got your first win at Blue Streak, I
Well,
guess?
literally never forget it. So it was literally it's this Bluestreak super speedway. They decided to put a gigantic trioval on a super speedway, right? Like, and I'm not talking about like Daytona like trioval. I'm talking about like imagine like, all right, trying to like even get you to have a picture in your mind. Take a Charlotte trioval, but then put that onto an exaggerated super speedway. Like you know how like there's the actual curves of the trioval. You know how like on Daytona it's a big sweeping corner.
Yeah, like the
Actually
car.
put yeah, like actually put the corners there. That's how the Bluestreak super speedway was.
Huh. Okay.
So you had to crack the throttle on the front stretch going across there. Otherwise, you would just slam into the right wall. And I forget who the fuck was. Oh, it was Joey DeMann was ending up leading like 99% of the race, and Joe Archer destroyed Joey DeMann. Joey was actually one of the dudes who I wish I could talk to today. Got a lot of respect for him, and ended up taking each other out. I think I was either damn, I can't even remember how far back I was now, but basically it was like the seas parted for fucking Noah, and it was just right straight to the finish line, just drove forward, and that was my first win. It was a fucking seas parting moment of carnage at a super speedway that should never have been a super speedway, and it was the Aero 88 mod, if you remember that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They always ran the Aero 88s like every single week, every track, every race, like every series. They ran like 2 different series a week, but it was always the Aero 88 mod. They love that shit. I don't know why, but
Yeah, a lot of the like older crowd, they like running Aero 88 because that's what they grew up on, you know? Like that's what the cars look like. So they love running that mod.
go back on my YouTube. There's actually YouTube videos for Bluestreak back from that time frame, like around 2017, something like that. And it actually says offline races for the Archer kids because his kids would be bored and just ask me to do offline races on NR for them. Like his kids were cool as shit, but they were such asshole people. Like it's crazy to think about.
Yeah.
Wild.
Who would you say your first mentor was if you had one? Like who helped you out with like tips and shit?
Definitely Greg. 150% Greg.
Greg Irwin, for those who are not aware, which Greg you
Yes,
might be
yeah.
referring to.
Yeah, Greg Irwin was 100% my first hand holder, literally to the point where I was
Hand
so
holder.
bad at, like, dude, that's an understatement. To the point where I was mentioning my first wheel, that Logitech Wingman, I was so bad that he got a G25 at the time. That was the new big nice wheel. It wasn't a G27 or a 2029 or anything like that yet. And he had purchased a new one of those, and he's like, I'm not going to do anything with my Momo. I'll just ship it your way. And I was like, dude, that'd be awesome. And that helped me a lot, you know. But yeah, Greg was definitely the first person who really helped me in the community, and through Greg, I met Ryan and a couple other people in the Blazin Pedals community. And
Ryan Palmer.
yep, Ryan
Okay.
Palmer,
Yeah.
another dope dude. Yeah, love Ryan. Got a lot of love for both those guys. Greg's a ass in his own right, but I love Greg.
Yeah. Yeah, but you're an ass. I'm an ass. Like it's okay.
Yep. We all can be asses at times.
Um. So I know you've been running 38 recently. So, but I remember you also, I believe you used to run 22, right? Or am I thinking
For
of
the
Ryan?
longest time. No, 22 and 2. I always
22.
ran either 2 or 22 everywhere I
Okay.
was.
So explain to me why you ran the 2 or the 22, because I know it's not because you like Joey Logano.
My dirt bike number was 922.
Okay.
Yep, that is the only reason. I never incorporated the 9. I have no idea why. I just never really cared about that. But when I came over to NR, Blazin Pedals actually had the 2 open. So that's just what I went with. And a lot of my early schemes were actually created by Greg as well. Like I have old pictures of like indie schemes and shit like that. Like the old Crest number 2 Indy car is fucking one of the best schemes I have ever had.
Crest
But
toothpaste?
yeah, Crest toothpaste. Yeah, it was an awesome scheme.
Why Crest toothpaste?
uh I think it was just one of the sponsors for Greg's team at the time. So he's like, "Yeah, you want to like choose one of these?" And I was just like, "Fuck it, go with Crest." So that's what we went
Oh,
with. You know, just one
okay.
of those things. But
Well, I use Crest, so it's just funny that you bring it up. So why the switch to 38?
honestly, I don't really know. I think I just wanted a refresh, and something about 38 was calling me. I don't exactly know why, but it really just feels like 38 fits me now. I kind of just luck of the drawed it, you know what I mean? Like I kind of was just like, yeah, let me go with 38 because I think what had happened was, I had a little bit of another issue with Greg and all that. I had won 3 SNS races in a row. Some things were said, some words were said. Don't need to really go over all of it
No,
anymore. You
no.
can go back on my YouTube and watch it if you'd like to. But yeah, so I ended up leaving Full Circle Racing after that season, and got invited to Rival Ridge Garage from Noah Duvernay, and he sent me the 38, the what the fuck were the other ones? The 58, the 70. It was a couple different numbers, all with eights at the end, because his team just happened to have eights on the end. He was 58, and I think one of his teammates was like 98 or some shit like that. But I just thought that the 38 looked the best in his font, and I was like, yeah, you know what? The 38 actually looks pretty fucking good, and I've managed to find a good font for it. I like the Yates font too for 38. There's just a lot of good fonts for 38. It's really hard to find numbers that actually have good fonts, and people don't realize that. That's why 22 always stuck with me for so long, because you can find so many good fonts for 2, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's a couple numbers out there. Like, there was a time where I was like, this is so, like, this is kind of cheesy, but there was a time where I was like, it would be funny if I picked the number that is directly in the middle of 18 and 93, because Tyler Mallon and Jovan Anderson were like 2 of my biggest buddies at the time. So I was like, oh, I'll run the 57. Like, that'd be perfect. And then I go to find number fonts, and I'm like, there ain't shit for the 57, man. I was like, fuck this. Like, this ain't happening. Like, there was a Hendrick number
That's
that would have been
oddball.
all right, but I mean, still, I was like, ugh, like, it just, Like, yeah, it's just an oddball number. There's a reason nobody runs certain numbers. They just don't know a font to make it work. So you just got your I know you're talking about wheels. You were running a Moza for a little bit, and you just got your upgrade wheel, correct?
I just switched over to Ace-Tech. Yep. It'll be here Monday. I'm buying it in stints of purchases, because everybody who's listening right now
Money,
probably
money,
knows
money.
Ace-Tech is big money. Yeah. So I'm buying their lowest cost bundle, but I'm doing it in separate purchases. So I'm buying the wheel first, which is already made. That'll be here Monday. I'm buying the pedals next, and then buying the base. Yeah, I mean, nothing against Moza. I kind of knew it going into it. Looking on the website, I was like, those pedals are probably going to be a bitch in a couple of months, and that's exactly what's happening. The pedals stick and do all sorts of stupid shit. So
Hmm.
not to mention, when I get into a race, the thing that I keep seeing. So as we're talking NR, I have been staying off of NR lately. Been doing a lot of iRacing, and
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that you can see in iRacing is your clipping on your force feedback. So I only have 3.5 Newton meters on my wheel. I got an R3 now. Um, I will watch it even if I turn down like as much as I can. There's a threshold on these wheels. I'll turn it down to the point where I can get something in the corner where I'm not clipping anymore, but then I don't feel anything on the straightaways anymore. That's a problem. It's like I need to find the happy medium, but I ain't finding it with this wheel. And I'm losing sense in the middle of the track here, and then I'll gain it there. So it's I'm just sitting here fighting with it the whole time, and just watching tons and tons of videos, and the best bang for my buck, in my personal opinion, was to go with that Ace-Tech. So
Right on. All right. Well, yeah, I look forward. I'm sure we'll be talking in the coming weeks when you start being able to use the wheel and then the pedals, how it'll all come together to maybe help you driving out. So let's get into fun questions. So let's start with, who was the first person you butted heads with? Who was the first person where, you said you were a terrorist on the racetrack, but like, who was who was at the top? Like, who were you butting heads with the most? At like
Derek,
either be
constantly.
Derek
It was
Justice?
Derek. Yes, Derek, constantly. I would always mess up his races. I would wreck him. Had a couple matches with Jason yelling at me,
Oh boy.
Lewis a couple times yelling at me, which Lewis was actually a really laid back guy. There was another old dude. What the fuck was his name? He actually passed away. All I can remember is they called him Sergeant Slaughter. What was his name? Steven Slaughter? Was that his name? It sounds like
Okay.
that was what his name. Yeah, I had a couple bad times with him. But yeah, Derek definitely was the one that stood out the most. There was actually a kid, funnily enough, who joined Blazin Pedals. Now, I was a problem in Blazin Pedals, but I didn't like a cheater. He came to me and was like, "Yo, if you want to use these grip packs, I'll send them your way." And I ran over to Derek and I was like, "Yeah, this fucking kid's cheating, dude." So I might have been a little terrorist, but I wasn't, like that. You know what I mean? So
Okay. Who would you say you've butted heads with more in recent years?
Honestly, I've kind of tamed it down, but it's been Greg recently, and it's just because we don't see eye to eye with everything. You know,
Mm-hmm.
he's got his military background and wants to run everything that way, and I see it as a video game, and I don't see it as that important, and I don't think we should run it that way. And we just butt heads with that a lot, and there's nothing wrong with that. People butt heads with everything. But yeah, it's definitely Greg today is the one who I butt heads with the most. But he took a little hiatus, as you know, and
Mm-hmm.
it's it's been good for him, I would say. And again, I'd say it with full confidence. I have a lot of love for Greg. He's one of my favorite people in this world, despite me butting heads with him all the time, you know.
Yeah.
But
Well, that's the same with like, me and Joven. Like me and Joven, you know, have butted heads. Not recently, but like there was like a time like early last year and like late 2023 where we were getting into it. But like he's still like a brother to me on this game, and you know, I kind of this might be a little cheesy too, but like when I was watching the Earnhardt docu series, and you know they were saying how like Neil Bonnet was Dale's best friend, and like he was the guy, like, and I was like, that's how I feel about Joven. Like Joven, even though we're like kind of like still going through a little rough patch, like Joven's like my best friend. Like he was my first best friend in this community. Be another there will never be another person like that for me, like in the community. Like you and me, we've gotten close as hell, but like you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
you find new great friends, but like you just
well,
can't replace like what the other person was. Like everyone's different.
all right. So since we're on that topic, I know they're gonna watch this video. I seriously do want to give an absolute shout out because, as y'all know, I've been going through some shit. Don't have to get into it, but I probably wouldn't be here, arguably, if I didn't find y'all when I found y'all.
Mm-hmm.
My Discord was dead. It was just me and Matt. And Matt is my oldest online friend, like above all. I've known him for a very long time. But yeah, Ryzen, Sierra, Noah, you, Kaylee, fucking I know I'm gonna forget a couple, Andrew,
Salvador,
Bryson, Salvador,
the homie Brian
fucking
Maverick, who we don't see
yeah, we
anymore.
don't even see Ryan anymore. But yeah,
He's in England.
you guys really it has been insane to me how over just what has it been?
Probably
I've
last
been
year.
separated from my wife for a year and a half now. So yeah, it's only been about that long that I've really been talking to you guys, and yeah, it's been a great experience to say the least.
Right on. I know for me, if I didn't start hanging out with y'all at the end of probably the end of last summer, I was probably on my way out of the community. I was pretty broken mentally. And I was ready to get out of here, but then I met y'all and I was like, I'll stick around for another year and see where it goes. So,
Funny
um,
how people can do that to you.
yeah. Who would you say your main rival is, positive or negative, either now
Ryzen.
or in the
It
okay,
is
Ryzen. 100%.
100% Ryzen. I will fucking freak out on that kid. I love Ryzen so much, but boy, I can get heated at Ryzen. And it's only because he's what, 15 years old, and the kid is incredibly talented.
He's an annoying
We all
little
talk
brother.
about it all the time. Yeah, exactly. We talk about it all the time. We have all these other kids that we race with. Also shout out Charles. I know I forgot to mention him.
Yeah, Charles.
But we have all these kids that we race with, and we try to help every week. Will and Charles and all them, they struggle with the formula cars and the sports cars and everything, and nobody ever has to help Horizon. The dude just gets into the fucking cars. Doesn't matter what track, he just gets into it and understands it completely. I've told Horizon that if he continues to go into the motorsport route, there's no doubt in my mind that he could do something with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, either like some kind of professional like E series, maybe
Yeah.
if he puts the work in.
Yep, absolutely. He's definitely got the skill for it. I just told you back in 20,
You were
fucking
ass
13,
at
14, I was
15 years
killing
old.
people. Yeah.
Yeah, you were ass. So yeah, it's pretty cool. What's the dumbest thing you've ever done on the track? Have you ever intent wrecked somebody?
I actually did cheat one time
You
and I was
cheated
caught for
once?
it. Yeah, I
Ooh.
did. I cheated in Blazin Pedals because I finally got fed up with all their bullshit and I ended up cheating. And I don't think they actually ended up banning me for it or anything because I had been in the community for like 2 years at that time. So like I was pretty incorporated, you know what I mean? And I forget. I think it was just grip hacks, some stupid shit that I had found, and it was pretty noticeable in the race. I think I got asked to leave. Uh, don't remember if Derek or Jason talked to me after, or if Lewis did talk to me after, because Lewis was an admin at the time. Somebody talked to me after the race, and essentially I got like a week off after that, and they were like, don't worry about racing any of the races this week coming up. And yeah, I think that's probably one of the dumbest things that I've ever done because it's just thinking back on it, it's like you're in such a niche community already. Why the fuck are you trying to cheat with like
Hmm.
these guys who very well will know that you're cheating? You know what I
Oh
mean? Like
yeah.
that's all these
Like,
guys do is race. Excuse me, this, but you know what I mean? It's like,
I mean, that's like, we were talking about fast, and there was even discussion before this year about taking, the coded, the different coded EXE out, because it's like, well, if someone's cheating, like, we're gonna know, because like, you know, like beating Randall or Josh like is one thing, but like if you beat Moyers for a pole by like more than like maybe a tenth of a second, unless Moyer says he screwed up his lap, like, yeah, there might be something suspect going on there. Like you can tell. Like there's enough people who have just stuck around so long that like depending who it is, like you can tell. And like there's also ways, like if you watch the car through the corner, like you like even the smallest thing will look weird. Like we were running Melon Car at Auto Club, and I don't remember his name. Needless to say, after we accused him of cheating, he never came back. But he would run. He was running on controller, and he was running the high lane. Well, anytime I tried to run the high lane, I couldn't really get it to work. It was all about being on the bottom for me. And I just figured maybe that's just the way I'm driving it. But then I started to notice there was one time through turns 1 and 2 where he went in the corner up top and then he like turned down the banking and somehow got a huge run. And he was like in the middle of the track. And I'm like, what? I'm like, that no way in hell that looks right. And then we went to Atlanta the next week, or maybe Atlanta was the week before, but at Atlanta his car looked kind of weird going through the corners too. So I like started looking at the replays and I'm like, there's something fishy here, Tyler. Like there's something fishy, and they were like somebody was one of this guy's friends was like, oh no, there's no way he's cheating. Like he wouldn't do that. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know, bro. Looks a little sus. So then, like, Tyler loaded up one of those two tracks, had him connect using an EXE he sent him, and he, like, went in the server and was like, whoa, this feels way different. Da 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 da. And, like, he was bad. And then, like, he was like, hang on a second. And he left the server, went back in with his EXE, and all of a sudden he was like 3/10 faster. And Tyler was like, yep, you used an EXE you shouldn't have been using. And that guy never came back. I don't even remember the dude's name. But yeah. like that's just like, to me that's the silliest excuse people make, is they're like, oh, I didn't realize I was cheating. I call bullshit.
I didn't realize I
You
opened the
knew.
wrong EXE, like dumbass.
You knew. Either you knew or you didn't know, and you've been using that EXE the whole time you've been racing the game, and that's the reason you didn't know. But so, like, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. This was like 2 years ago, so I don't know the dude. But benefit of the doubt, I'll say, okay, let's say you got this EXE, and it was the first EXE you used to race, and you just didn't know you were cheating. I can see why you wouldn't want to come back, because now you're like, now I suck. Like everything I was used to was fake. Like, of course I'm not going to freaking want to come back. Like, if someone did that to me, I'd be pretty demoralized. If I was like, yeah, I've been racing 6 months battling for wins, and then someone's like, yeah, something's up with your EXE, man. And I'm like, what do you mean? And then they tell me like, oh yeah, like this is a cheating EXE, and if I had no idea, dude, I would have been crushed, right? Like if you were using something that someone gave you, like they got you in a game and they gave it to you, and you're just using it, thinking, oh yeah, like everything's great, and then someone says, oh, this is illegal, and you're like, well, I just wasted a bunch of time. But so did you ever intent wreck anybody or not?
Yeah, I had my little run-ins with Tristan Grace. What was that, like a year or two ago? That was fun. Tristan's a good dude. I got a good relationship with him today.
I remember I didn't know shit about that, and then the episode 12 of the McBasket cast came out, and he had the whole skit in there, and I was just
about
like,
me, and yeah.
I was like, what the fuck am I watching, man? I was like, what the hell is? What's this feud with Robert? I don't know anything about this shit.
Yeah. That was so. I don't even remember what the fuck it was now. That's how stupid it was.
Something dumb.
I think he bumped me, and then I hit him back, and we both got pissed off and couldn't handle each other.
Just something stupid, right?
Yeah, I wanted to show whose dick was bigger was essentially all we were doing.
The way it goes, yeah.
Yeah.
Ever say anything dumb during or after a race that you like later regretted? Like about like maybe like an on-track incident or something where it was like, like for example, like say driver A bumped into you, and in the moment you thought maybe or like you just went into the corner side by side with someone, you thought it was maybe their fault, like maybe they came up, and then you look back and you're like, no, I pinched them down and wrecked myself, something like that.
I definitely, for as much as a hothead that I am, I definitely keep pretty tame and yelling at people in events like that. I can't really recall. I feel like I'm pretty, what's the word I'm looking for? Damn, drawing a blank on the word. I'm reflecting, self-reflecting when I do stupid shit. You know what I mean? Like if I make a move that was just stupid and I shouldn't have did that, I shoved the car where it shouldn't have go. I usually like to think that I'm pretty self-reflecting and go, nah, that's my bad. Shouldn't have done that. I mean, there's probably a couple times I have to say it's with Ryzen because he thinks he's right and I think I'm right, and it's just a little feud that we have where we both get into a little debacle of no, I didn't wreck you, you didn't wreck me, blah 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 blah, and shit like that. But it's never anything angry or anything like that. I don't really think I've ever yelled at anybody over an accident, to be honest. Thinking back on it, I've never freaked out over an incident on track.
Yeah, I know. I just had a. I don't really regret what I said so much as I probably regret how I said it. But Fast Charlotte Sunday night, I got essentially wrecked out of the race. It didn't like kill my car, but like it gave me engine damage, and then I got a 30 because I had to go around the cone to get on pit road, or I was gonna run out of gas. Juan, a driver by the name of Juan, spun out in front of me going in the pit road, and I just had nowhere to go because of the inside wall on Charlotte being right there. And I just drove right into him, and it flipped me over, and I was so mad in the moment. He was so sorry, and he was sorry about it, like totally like genuine sorry about it, like he didn't mean to do it, obviously. And I was just like, man, I had this race won, man. Like I was better than Randall and John on the long run. Like I was overcutting Randall by a lap. Like I was going to come out right behind him and still have an advantage with like 45, 50 laps to go. And like it don't matter now because I got engine damage. Then I got the 30-second penalty, and I was so mad at that dude, and I was getting crap for it this morning by his buddy Oscar.
Yeah.
Oscar, I was like, man, Oscar, what the hell, man? It's been 6 days, like shit. And he was like, man, I just logged in the Discord. I was like, damn, I guess whatever. But I mean, we had the whole talk, and it is what it is. Like, I'm sorry if I upset Juan or whatever, but like people are gonna get mad at you when you wreck their shit. It's not an excuse for me to be an asshole, but like I'm just of the mind that if you fuck me over, I'm gonna be mad, and I'm gonna let you know. And like I might be a total asshole about it. I might not be a total asshole about it. I don't know. It just depends on the moment. Um, I don't like being that guy, but shit happens. Get over it, you know?
Yeah.
What's a moment between you and myself that you can recall?
Like negative between me and you?
Positive, negative, funny, anything. Anything that sticks
Um,
out.
I mean, I don't know. It's funny because my perception of you. All right, so I'll do this. I won't go the route of what you just asked me. I'll spin this question on my own, right? Because I've been wanting to say this to you, and I felt like this was a good time to say this.
All
My
right.
perception of you before I knew you was, that you were this pretentious, self-centered asshole, thought you were the greatest thing in the world, and blah 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 blah. And like, I really like, I dislike people like that, number one, because it's just they're hard to be around. Like you can't talk to somebody like that. And so that was my perception of you before ever even meeting you or knowing you. So a lot of the time I just didn't want to be near you on the track. So when I finally actually got to know you and started talking to you, and I was like, wow, this guy's actually pretty cool, and like actually racing with you. I'm still nowhere near as fast as you, don't get me wrong. So there are still many moments where I have nowhere near as much skill as you do, and I just don't run near you. But you have really been helping me a lot with just learning the stupid shit that I never knew in NR, which has been like really cool to me because I've been on this simulator for a long time, but it's like still learning new things. Can't teach an old dog new tricks, but I guess you can in this instance. It's that I'm appreciative of you in that way. Like it's been pretty cool to see that like my perception get completely turned, and it was not anything that I had thought that you were. So
Oh, thanks, man. Gay. Just kidding. Um, yeah, I love helping people out and trying to help them get to a similar level or at least like a level of confidence where they can go out on the track and be confident about how they're driving. I gave you tips. I was given Ryzen tips, which I think Ryzen like really picked up on. Andrew McGarrigle, of course, a little bit when he was racing late last year. He has been able to race lately, but just giving them tips. I remember we had that one race with at IOR, and Andrew, every corner, it felt like Andrew was about to run me over. And I was like, man, will you calm down? And he's like, I'm just following you into the corner. And I was like, man, I feel like you're gonna wreck me. And he's like, oh, no, 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 you're good. But people just trying to match the line. And I'm just paranoid looking in the mirror because it's like, man, like, I know the guy's got speed, but I don't trust him not to run me over yet. You can have anybody behind you, and you feel different ways. Like if I got Ryzen or Andrew behind me, I'm like half worried I'm gonna get run over because they typically send it into the corner an extra 20 feet compared to me. And if I'm in front of them, I might get wrecked because I want to save my tires, and I can't really do that when they're up my ass. But then like if I have like you or Randall or Joven behind me, I'm like, I ain't worried. I ain't worried at all. I'm worried about them passing me, or especially Tyler. When Tyler raced, I'm worried about getting passed. Like I'm worried I'm not going to get off this corner as good. They're going to get a run and get by me. But I ain't worried about getting junked. Uh, is there a race win that means the most to you, whether that's NR or anything else?
So I guess since I don't really count my wins, I don't really think of a win that means more to me. However, I guess I hold certain league wins above others, if that makes sense to you. Like, certain leagues that I guess in my mind are like a higher caliber of a driver. So like any win that I have in ISRL, I hold higher than like wins that I have in I don't have a win in Budweiser, but if I had a win in Budweiser, you know what I mean? Like I wouldn't hold that anywhere near to the statute of a ISRL win. But no, I don't really have a specific one. I guess my most memorable one is when I went back to MOT. That was pretty cool. I won Supercell. and it was the last race of their 2023 season, and Keith and Matt were battling for the championship, and I actually ended up beating both of them, and I was like, damn, if I was actually here all year, I might have might have won a championship right here. But
How did you feel about the Bowman Gray win at Fast earlier this year? I know there was some stuff said after the race that
yeah.
made you feel like maybe you didn't deserve it, but I mean, it was it was a shit show race. Like, you deserved it. How did you feel initially when you won that?
So, okay, so to talk about that, I got into practice, right? Going into that race, I usually have a mindset for a race. I don't know if you're like this. Maybe you're not because, like I said, you got a little more skill than me. But when I go into a race knowing what the track is, so like for instance, talking about how we're racing Nashville, I would go into that race knowing I suck at that track. So I went into Bowman Gray thinking I'm gonna get like 10th here, 15th, whatever. I'm not gonna do anything here tonight. I'm just gonna be battling in the back of the pack, no big deal. When I went out in practice and was actually really fucking fast and was putting up faster times than Randall and like comparative to you and everything, I was like, oh shit, I actually have a chance here tonight. And then, yeah, once the race became a shit show, it's really funny. Every time I win like races like that, it somehow dissolves into chaos. Like all my ISRL wins at the end of last year that got Greg pissed off. They were just utter chaos at the end of the races, but I ended up winning them. So like they try to negate my wins, and it's like, oh, you just got these stupid wins, and it's like I can't help what happened when I won. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember saying it was either last week or 2 weeks ago. I brought up that race because I was talking about, like, shit you said during a race that you might have regretted, and I regretted saying towards like Fran Gomez and just like generally new people that after I got, because on one of the restarts it was Randall in first and me in second. Fran Gomez was in third. I don't remember who was in fourth behind me, and then you were in fifth behind Fran. And I was telling Randall over whisper, you might remember, I was like, oh, the 95 is going to wreck you on this restart. I'm calling it now. And sure enough, I just see from where I'm sitting, I just see the 95, like, either like it looked like wheel hopped it or what, and just bumped Randall enough to spin him out and right into me. And I ended up losing all the track position. Randall kind of got saved. And I remember saying, man, if that's the way y'all are going to race here, don't come back. Well, wouldn't you know, after the race, I look at the replay and I'm like, wait a minute. Robert hit Fran into Randall.
That was me. Yeah. That was that one.
I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
Fran didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah, you're yelling at Fran when I bumped Fran. Yeah.
And then, so then I was like, man, I feel like an asshole. Like, I said all that shit and it wasn't even his fault. And he didn't even say anything either. Like,
I don't even think Fran realized it, to be honest.
yeah, like he didn't say anything during the moment at all. Like, he was just quiet. And yeah, I was like, man, I'm a dumbass. Like, I should have waited until I looked at the replay. But in the moment, that's all I saw was him go into the turn one and run over Randall. So I'm thinking, I called it. But no, I didn't call it. He had help from my teammate in the 38. But nah, I mean, I was happy after that just to get back into a top five, I think, since I had that pit for the fresh tires. I remember in that race, I forget if it was you and me or Randall and me, but there was a time where we pit and we hauled ass to get out in front of the pace car. And I'm just made it, and then either you or Randall were behind me and you barely got in front of the pace car. It was like almost faced the back
yeah,
end.
I feel like it was me. Yeah, if I remember.
And we were like, hell yeah, we finessed the shit out of that. Because we just sped down pit road knowing it don't matter if we speed or not. Like, we got to beat the bloody pace car. So that was hell good. Do you have any championships that you want to mention?
Yeah, quite a few at Bluestreak. I mean, anywhere else? Nah, I never won any championships. My problem was I never stayed invested enough for an entire season. You know what I mean? Like I said, I always was busy doing stuff, and
It's
I had
tough.
a wife and everything. So yeah, and at the time I was like not fully invested. So yeah, I was always missing races and shit like that. And
It's crazy because so I think about how, we're closing another month. We'll be halfway through the season at Fast. And I just think about, man, like it's such a goddamn long year, but I'm invested. Like I could afford to miss, I think it's like 6 races if I want. I can afford to miss 6 races. I haven't missed one yet. But I don't want to because I want to win the regular season championship because since it's playoff format, if something stupid happens in the final race, I can at least say, well, I was the champion of the overall season. Like I might not be champion in name, but I had the good season. And it's funny because I have this weird gut feeling, like we're not even at the finale yet, but I have this weird gut feeling that I'm either going to blow up, break a gear, or I'm going to get in some stupid wreck and I'm not going to win the title because the last 2 years at Fast, I came in to the season around mid-May, had already missed too many races, and I like won the season finale in both seasons. And I'm like, so I won those 2 finales and I wasn't in the final 4, so I just, I get the race win. I don't no title or anything. Watch this be the year where I committed and something stupid's going to happen. So that's my expectation for the finale. Plus, it's CTS physics at Phoenix, and even though that was what it was last year, and I did good with it and it won, you just can't help but wonder. It's all situational. But yeah, I mean, it's tough running full time because some of the places I race at now, I mean, Fuel was cool because Fuel was always like 10, 11 races, but a couple of the other places I've been racing at now, they're full season grinds, and you got to show up every week to have a shot at it. It's a commitment, man. I mean, imagine being a real driver. You got to travel around the country all goddamn year. We're at least home. Like, we're seeing our families and shit. Like, even if we're still racing every week. Like, I come home every week. Freaking traveling. God, I can't imagine. If you had to answer, I don't know if you care enough for this question, but it's a fun question I like to ask. Your favorite mod, favorite track, your favorite league to race at, and your favorite physics for NR.
Okay, so favorite mod. I'll just say Aero 88. It's probably the one that I've ran the most in the sim anyway, and I do have a particular fondness to it, I guess, because it's one of my older ones that I've ran. Favorite track is probably Supercell, even though that's a new one. I just always do really well at that track, and it's a fun track. MOT did a great job on that. And favorite league is also MOT. Those guys over there, a great group of guys. And I'm an admin at a couple different places. No offense to the places that I admin at, but it is 100% the most fun that I've had in NR probably ever. They've figured out how to make it serious while not serious at the same time, and they're a great group of guys.
I love racing over there. I can't wait for SummerSlam. I skipped out on SummerSlam last year. Didn't really know what it was, so I didn't show up for it. But I'm gonna do it this year. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's a blast. And physics, it's Cup. Nothing's like Cup. PTA is what it's for. It's IndyCar physics. CTS sucks ass. I don't want to touch it ever. Cup is where it's at.
Which is funny because MOT makes CTS really fun.
I know. That's
Like, I didn't really care for CTS either. Like, I was running at Rolling Thunder Gaming, and they do a great job over there. They've been around forever. But I didn't really care for their CTS package. A lot of their setups are just ungodly tight. And they're used to running that, and it's good for them to run a tight setup because then, like, you don't have to worry about people self-spinning or anything. But it's just like some of those tracks, I was just like, man, like, I just really don't like it. And then I switched to MOT and I started running some of their, setups. And I prefer them when they run Cup because there's a little more of a field spread. But even the CTS races, like their Michigan track is lights out good. They've got a really good package at Michigan. Supercell's a ton of fun too, even though every race I've run there, I've gotten junked and in some capacity. Like something goofy happens to me and I get junked. That track's really fun. And then I'm trying to think of another track in CTS physics they run that's really fun. Blanking. But Kentucky, they run Cup physics, and that track's a ton of total
Kentucky's
blast.
A blast at MOT, yeah.
Yeah, Tate did a good job on that one too. Okay, so usually I ask some people what has kept them invested as opposed to moving on for iRacing or another sim, but what drew you to finally give iRacing another shot early this year?
So another shout out here to Ryzen. He's a persistent little bastard. He plays a lot of iRacing, as we all know. Anybody listening to this episode who knows Ryzen knows that Ryzen plays entirely too much iRacing. So he wouldn't shut up about it. And I had dabbled in iRacing here and there. I was never really that great at it, and I didn't really like the way that they did shit. But he kept telling me, he's like, just give it another try, give it a chance, and like, don't think about it the way that I was before. Think about it this way, which was weird to hear about from a 14, 15-year-old kid. But I did do it the way that he wanted me to, and decided to think about it in a different way. And it's been a much better experience. And I will always love NR. I will probably always play NR, always do races here and there, but I can guarantee that I will never be fully invested in another season of NR. But iRacing, I will absolutely do league racing and stuff like that. It's just it's crazy because really what has happened, I guess if I still had a different wheel with less force feedback, it wouldn't have been so significant. But going back from iRacing to NR, you feel nothing in NR. And
Mm.
that's it's like I was talking about earlier with me getting that better wheel. It's a big thing to me. So
Yeah, I wonder if like if I made the switch to a direct drive wheel, if I'd maybe be more interested because I know like if you're gonna do iRacing, like you want direct drive because you get that feel. Um, but I also like I was just telling Tyler Mallon this morning because Tyler was telling me I should give iRacing another shot, and I was like, no way, and he's like, why not? And I was just like my some of my financial goals right now, I wouldn't want to
that I feel you with 100%
worry
financially.
worry
I
about
get
the
that.
whole thing.
But I don't like to push on you, but I do agree with Tyler with that. I would like to see you get back into iRacing. Me and Ryzen talk about it all the time. But
Yeah, he told me like it's really not that bad once you have everything you want, which I think I've heard that tossed
yes,
around too. Like once you have everything you want, it's not that bad. Which I
I
have.
haven't bought shit in iRacing in probably a couple months now. I bought everything as quick as I could, that I wanted, just like he said, everything that you wanted and needed. And I haven't bought anything in a while. It's just like
Yeah,
randomly here and there, I'll be like, oh shit, I don't have that car. Oh shit, I don't have that track. Like it's just simple stuff.
yeah. I mean, and I have. I don't have like when I had it last was like 2018, 2019. So like I have the Xfinity car, I have the truck, I have the old Gen 6. Like I don't have Gen 7 obviously because I haven't had iRacing when that came out. But then I have like a decent chunk of the NASCAR tracks. So like I have stuff on my account. So I'm probably more so holding out because of the subscription thing and every month, whatever. But then another concern of mine is, which Tyler also told me like I'd be fine. But it's the driving physics, which I was kind of starting to get it back in 2019 when I stopped. So I'm sure I'd be all right. The one thing I'd have to readjust to is my sense of confidence because I run roof camera all the time, everywhere. I don't really
Just on the
fiddle.
cockpit.
Yeah, I don't really fiddle with cockpit too much. I fiddle with it sometimes, and I try to like
Tell you what,
line it up to the wall. And I was kind of getting it with iRacing too, but I just don't really want to worry about that right now either. And then I know you can mute voice chat, but I also really just don't want to deal with the egos that are on iRacing. And there's a lot of toxic people. I've heard you cuss people out, Robert.
oh, I absolutely have.
Oh, and the
It's
safety system
definitely
sucks.
it's worse. Yeah, that's why I cuss people out. I don't cuss people out because they got these egos. I've actually ran into nobody with an ego or anything like that. But what I do run into is a bunch of fucking idiots who think that they know racecraft who do not whatsoever. And that is a large problem because iRacing faults both drivers, which you can't fault iRacing for that. They have to fault both. You know what I mean? They can't get into the discrepancy of, oh, who did this, who did that. They don't have the technology to do that, so they have to fault both drivers. But unfortunately, that's what makes it a problem. I shouldn't get a 4X for somebody driving into me. You know what I mean? It's an issue. It is, but you got to do what you got to do. That's why I listened to Ryzen, because before I had your mindset, and I'm like, why the fuck am I paying for this subscription to just get pissed off and people hitting me and all that? But that's once you get out of those. I haven't touched a rookie race in probably 3 months. I haven't touched it. I mean, I will very occasionally dabble in a D class race, but C, B, or A is all the races that I will do. And I'm a little bit over 1.5K in all of my iRatings, so I'm not in low splits, but I'm not in high splits. But it's been a fine experience for the most part. But yeah, I definitely have cursed some people out for doing dumb shit. But the good thing for you, if you were to get into it right now, iRacing is completely switching the tire model currently in the Gen 7s. So everybody's gonna have to relearn the tire model. So you'd be getting into it right at the perfect time. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I mean, I'm also kind of burned out. Like
you with that.
I've been floating the idea of taking next year completely off. Um, but next year is still 7 months away. Like I don't know. Like I might just take the winter off again. Like I don't know. It depends how I feel. But like right now, I'm in the mindset of I think I'm gonna take the whole year off. The last time I took an extended break longer than like 3 months was, oh man, early 2021. Yeah, that was the last time I took like a 6 month break, was from the end of 2020 through like the end of May, and then I was ready to get back on in June. Um, and yeah, so I don't know. I don't know, man. Well, we'll see what the time, how the time flows. 7 months seems to go by a lot quicker than it used to, so I don't know. I might need that break after all, but yeah, we'll see. I just
Oh,
got back into Bomb Squad, which I was, really working towards, hoping to be able to get back in. Had a great fun run with those guys Thursday night. Can't thank Magoo and all those members enough for giving me a chance, because the way it works with Bomb Squad is if one clubhouse member doesn't want you back, they can do that. Like they can say like, "No, I'm not comfortable with him coming back," and someone almost could have done that, and I wouldn't have been allowed to come back and have this other chance. But they're giving me the chance, and I'm so grateful. I want to make the most of it. So that might be something that keeps me racing at least once a week over there next year. Like I don't know, we'll see. Um, we'll see where my head's at, because burnout fucking sucks.
it sure fucking does.
Okay, how many people that you've met through NR have you met in real life?
None. I have not met any. Oh wait, no, that's a lie. One. I have met Brendan Berg. I did meet Brendan. It was actually, it's funny. I actually completely skipped over one of the most important part of my NR community, because just unfortunately, because I don't talk to him too much today. But yeah, Brendan Berg was a great friend of mine back when I first started at Blazin Pedals and Bluestreak and all that. He kind of followed me like throughout the community and everything. And yeah, I went to Six Flags with him. Right when I graduated high school, he was a good friend of mine. And then I met Gabby, and I left the community completely. That was probably like 2018, 2019, and I didn't come back till like 2023. So I was gone for quite a few years. But
Right on. Um, that pretty much does it for an R, unless you have any other stories you'd like to tell that you can think of offhand. If not, it's not a worry.
I do not.
All right. So we'll get into our exit topic, which is basically any other subject you have an interest in, whether it's music, movies, TV shows, um, anything really.
Um,
Whiskey drinking, smoking weed. Hopefully, I don't get the video taken down mentioning the smoking weed part.
Nah,
I'll probably be all
I
right.
don't think it'll get
It's
the
not
video taken
monetized,
down.
so
Yeah, it's not monetized. Yeah, smoke a lot of weed, but I've been trying to stop smoking weed lately. Just trying to take a tea break. Just been drinking. Not that it's obviously alcohol is worse than marijuana, but I get nothing out of weed. Nah, man, I go to work and I come home and hang out with the kids and sim race. I watch basketball and WWE. That's about it. I
WWE.
don't.
Yeah, man. It's so funny that like the one year I got into WWE, and then I was talking to you about it, and you were like, "Yeah, I've been watching WWE forever," and I was like, "Damn it." I was like, another fucking friend of mine that watches WWE, and I'm just getting on board. Yeah, we've
Yeah,
been
it's
following the
another
shit out
another
of that.
thing. that I've just been into since I was a kid. My parents actually got to take my sister, so I was saying, they went to the All-Star race every year. Back when the Wells Fargo Center used to be called the Wachovia Center, they had an episode of Raw taped there, and my sisters got to go and watch that as kids. I wasn't born yet when it happened, but that had to be pretty fucking cool to see a live taping of Raw. I couldn't even imagine.
Mm. How do you think this next storyline is going to go? Because I know we just had SmackDown last night, and Cena and Logan Paul faced off against Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes, and I remember talking to another friend on another side of the NR community, and he was saying that if like Cody didn't come back, I forget what event it was for. I think it was for the event earlier this month in May. He was saying like if Cody didn't come back for that, he didn't foresee him coming back until SummerSlam. Oh, then lo and behold, Cody Rhodes came back last week in Saturday night's main event, and now we've got this tag team match set for Money in the Bank next week. So where do you feel like the storyline's going? Who do you think could win Money in the Bank? Because I was watching they released a highlight video, which has me thinking. They made a video for most controversial title changes, and they put it on their YouTube this week. And I was like, ooh, like, what do they mean by this? Like, is there going to be a controversial title change coming up soon here where Cena loses the title and some bullshit?
I was gonna say that's what it feels like to me, at least,
And like one of the moments they showed, the first moment they showed was a moment of Randy Orton cashing in his Money in the Bank to get a instant title match after someone had won the title, and he instantly pinned the dude to win the WWE title. And I was like, oh, so that's what the Money in the Bank is for. It's like used as a like, you cash it in and you can like do whatever you want.
Didn't even really know what that was.
No, I didn't know what it meant.
Yeah, Money in the Bank is essentially, you can have it for the entire year until Money in the Bank comes back around. So it's a contract that at any moment during the year you can take out on any single title that you want. You can do it on the United States, the Intercontinental, the World Heavyweight, whatever you want to do it on. You can go out to the ring at any point and say, I'm cashing this shit in right now. I want for that title. That's what Money in the Bank is.
Yeah, so I'm curious if like they're like hinting at that, because it's like it feels too good for them not to be hinting at it. Like, you don't just make a controversial title change highlight video and the first thing's a Money in the Bank clip from like 10 years ago and like Money in the Bank's next week. What are you saying, WWE? Are we gonna have like, is someone gonna win Money in the Bank and then they're gonna cash the check later in the year? Like, what's gonna go on here? So I'm curious where that'll go, because it looks like it feels like, Cody said in the SmackDown clip, like, oh, I'm not going to hesitate next time. Okay, well, so that tells me that you're probably going to fuck up Cena and you're going to take that title back before the year's over. That's what I'm getting. I don't know how you feel about it.
I was just about to say that. It's with Lee and Paul and how they've been writing the show, Paul Levesque and Lee Fitting, but the way that they've been writing the show, it seems like they're going for these like longer, drawn out feelings over the matches. Like, you've seen it with Gunther going off on this weird tangent, fighting fucking Pat McAfee and everything, and then going right back into the whole talk of, well, hey, I want back into this World Heavyweight, So I feel like that's what they're doing with Cody. It's like he had like this little like, oh, he's gone for a couple weeks and now he's back, and he's like, he's got this mean streak, because like that's what they did with Jay. Like and now if you see every time Jay comes out, he's got like this look on his face like Jay's gonna beat somebody's ass. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, he's like, and he comes down through the stands every time, so he's like the total like fan favorite. But then he gets in the ring and he just looks pissed. He looks pissed.
Got the best entrance in the WWE right now. That shit that he did just this past Friday on SmackDown with those two kids when he came out, I was like, dude, that's fucking peak right there.
Yeah, he's been like finding an aisle. It seems like I think that's like the second or third time I've seen him do that, where he finds an aisle where like there's like a couple kids around, and he'll like stop, and he'll either like, whether they're like standing down on the ground and they'll do the the wave, or he picked up that one girl and was doing it last night too. So like, he's a total fan pleaser right now. I love the hell out of his entrance. Music wise, you and I both like hard rock, like Seether, Korn. etc. A couple other bands, but then you also listen to a ton of stuff that I don't, I've never heard of.
Listen to a lot of see, I'm weird. I like all the shit that you listen to, all the, the hard rock and all that, but I'm not gay or anything, but I'm pretty sure that I might be just a smidge because I like listening to pop music that's like really good, feel good fucking music. I don't know, man. Just enjoy it. Weird.
What a way! Might be gay. I don't. I'm not. Well, he's like, I'm not gay, but I might be a little bit because I like listening to feel good pop. Like, man, I don't know if that makes you gay, but if you think so, then I don't know, man. I know I listen to a lot of stuff that, for one main reason you can't really listen to the music because somebody else likes listening to music, which, I get it. Stinks because a lot of those songs I really like and I feel like you'd vibe with, but like I get it. Like if there's a type of music that you can't listen to because of somebody, like then it is what it is. Um, there's also people for like good reasons that I think of like there are songs where I'll relate it to a place or like a time in my life because like I like discovered the song while I was going to this job or that job. So like and I like listen to it a lot driving on a certain road. So like there are songs that I like attribute to roads like around Massachusetts. And then like for like a larger example, like 50s, 60s, 70s country, I associate with my grandfather because anytime I was with my grandfather as a kid growing up after school, he had it on Sirius XM, 70s on 7 or 60s on 6, or like old country, So I like grew up to that. Like I don't listen to it in my own car, but like I grew up with that shit. So I don't know if you have any music like that.
Yeah, I guess that's a lot of country from my dad, shit like that. He listens to country a lot more and older rock music, stuff like that. But,
Oh,
just like you were saying, like road trips and, shit like that, listening to music with your dad driving down the road and all that. And
yeah. Yeah, we had this radio station growing up, 94 HJY. They still exist. They're out of Providence, and they play like all the old. They play classic rock, some of the hair metal rock, like so like, Zeppelin, Leonard Skinner, Motley Crue, all like the classic rock, right? Like AC/DC. And then they like play a couple of like the grunge bands like Alice in Chains and Pearl Jam and whatnot. Nirvana, some other like hard rock bands like Foo Fighters or Three Doors Down, just like the main hits. They played a lot. They played like more of like the new metal stuff. Like they would play like a Korn song or like a Linkin Park song here and there. Like back when I was growing up, and then still a little bit through the 2010s. But I think like there was one day there's like here and there I'll like turn the radio on just to see like what they're playing, and it's either some rock band I've never heard of that they're playing, or they're just playing the classics, and it's just like, man, like all the new shit I listen to is just on XM. Like they don't even play it on FM really, because
yeah.
a lot of those a lot of bands don't release clean versions of their songs anymore. You notice that? Like there's not a lot of clean versions for bands anymore. Like they
I
just
think it's like it's not really cared about anymore, I guess. You know what I mean?
well, like it's still cared about for FM radio, but like the bands and the labels themselves, yeah, like they don't care anymore. Like if you go watch a music video, they don't censor the music videos anymore. They haven't for like gosh, like almost 10 years now. They have not been censoring music videos on YouTube.
Which is wild to consider the state of the censorship on YouTube, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't really got anything else. You got anything
Yeah, no,
else?
I got nothing, man. I appreciate you doing these episodes that you've been doing. This is a cool show that you've been putting on here. I appreciate you coming on. I know you made the joke at the beginning of me saying getting on here, but we've been trying to coordinate for a couple weeks now getting on here, so it's fun finally getting on here and getting to talk to you about some things and everything. And hope we had a pretty good episode here. And
Yeah, I mean, I
it's
had a
a cool
blast.
thing you're doing.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks for coming on. You already gave your shout outs earlier, all the boys, all the homies that will listen to this one. I'm sure
Plus,
they'll
Kaylee, don't
jump on
forget
this.
we got a chick in the boys. Don't worry, she's a homie, but she's cool.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, can't forget Kaylee. Easy for me to forget because she's always just typing now. No microphone.
Yeah, she got a microphone. She's back. She was talking the other day, so yeah,
Oh, all
she's
right.
all
Word,
good now.
word.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure this will be a well received one by the boys, and it's gonna be a good one for the boys because I had someone I had a guy reach out last week who was interested in being on, and I was like, well, how long have you been running the game? Because I don't know you too well. He's like 4 years. I was like, you gotta wait like another year, brother. Well, I didn't say that to him outright, but I was like, I usually have people that have been around at least 5 years. It's kind of like the standard. So I like having people who have been around. Like so, like I wouldn't pull Sal on or Ryzen on, right now
Yeah, they
because
they
they've
don't have the stories.
they don't
Yeah.
have the stories. Like, what are you gonna talk about if like you got 2 years of experience, man? Like, you need some stories. But they'll get their time. If I'm still doing this down the line, they'll get their time. But if not, I appreciate all of them listening to it. Sal's been like commenting in Discord about like every episode. So, and it's funny, like, I don't know if you saw him talk about it in his server last week, but so had Seth Cole on 2 weeks ago this Monday, and Sal actually said, "Whoa, I never realized it, but this is the dude that I used to watch his stop motions all the time back in the day." And I was like, "Dude, that's crazy!" The
Crazy.
freaking like
Wow.
crossover all these years later. I still need to tell. I still need to tell Seth that, which is crazy. But yeah, I mean, yeah. Well, this was episode 11 of Who's That Driver? Your host, Zach Rogers, here with the motherfucker, Robert Kubat. And we'll see y'all. We'll see y'all for episode 12. Tentatively hoping I can get a certain person, but if not, I will be scanning my list to see who else we can get on the show. Thanks for listening as always, and peace out.
Take it easy.